Everyone keeps saying to normalize things. By my discrimination, America has normalized too many things, and definitely too quickly. Girls being naked everywhere, anywhere, anytime, and all the time. Male fashion being a forgotten legend, misplaced with suits, jeans, t-shirts, etc. Trans plus youth programs teaching toddlers why their friend has two mommies, as if 5-year-olds would even notice, let alone ask. Addictive substances, which occasionally dip in popularity but then come back stronger than ever with some new thing like vaping, fentanyl, ODing on NyQuil, or that thing they be doing with the whipped cream, man. We herald slop as a silver standard for entertainment, with the normalized belief being that we'll never again have gold, because gold came from the old days. That's how we think. We've been trained to think that, whether it's Jurassic Park compared to Jurassic World, or how Trump talks about "Make America Great Again." It's as if we've given up. When a new part of a franchise is announced, I don't even wonder if it will be good. Happily, I'm wrong sometimes, but it's not on my bingo card. I disliked Rogue One, for instance. Everyone else thought it was amazing. And then I go on watching Andor thinking it's going to be terrible, and I felt, with every episode, I felt like I had been drugged. I got to the end of it and wondered why I'd enjoyed it, and I was certain that the next episode would ruin everything. Happily, I was again wrong. Not to doomspeak too harshly, but as with Andor, we do occasionally produce gems here in the USA. It's just that America gave up gold to guarantee silver, like a game speedrunner taking a safe skip, even though that guarantees that they cannot get the fastest possible record, which is sort of kind of the entire point of speedrunning. We keep saying to normalize things, and in doing so, we force certain mindsets. Normalize isn't automatically a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. In the case of socially censoring so-called toxicity, it's been as a slave collar, choking out free speech, driving people into darker corners of the internet where they can say what they want, but the only ones there to listen are those even angrier than them, and in time, they become the same kind of person. In the case of normalizing bikinis, booty shorts, crop tops, and microskirts, and so forth, it's normalized little girls having big dreams of being an OF star, just like all of their idols on their phones that they've been watching since they were 2 years old. A big burly dude daisy picking with his daughter, making crowns out of them. Well, that's wrong. You know it is, deep down inside you. Need proof? Look at a picture of a man kissing his baby's head. Actual predator. Launch him into the sun. He deserves it. Men aren't allowed to show emotion. You know it's wrong for a black man to be gay, because all of the art you consume involving black people is made by America, and it's all thug life. Gangsters, guns, women, and drugs. Okay, maybe that's not all the art you've consumed involving black people, but the case is the same if you consider all the times you've taken off your pants to watch British basic cable. You know it's less socially acceptable for a black man to be gay than for any other starting class. Don't even get me started on the advanced classes. My point is that normalization isn't automatically good. It's usually selective and usually done in bias, which means it's usually bad. You're told that it's okay for a strong woman to enter the military, but not okay for dad guy to pick flowers. It's okay for a black guy to bust a rhyme, but if a white guy raps, he's a racist who's guilty of cultural reappropriation. All of this is simply to set the tone for how easy it is to create a sphere of influence. It does not need to be some grand Illuminati scheme. It really can be as simple as a single Karen wallowing in self-pity on social media about how unfair it is that she wasn't allowed to break the rules, and then other Karens show up and they start crying too. Now, the snowball is formed, and any response in any fashion results in that snowball being pushed. Now, here's another video from Minneapolis. You see another Karen following ICE around, honking horns, blowing whistles, making every possible effort that they think won't get them arrested to distract and impede ICE, because this is like heroic to them. They legitimately have nothing better to do with their life than role play as heroes, and you can see in the caption there that certainly sounds like a threat. The only threat he issues is that if you keep doing this, you're at a high risk for being arrested. That's it, really. But you can perceive anything as a threat, provided you're capable of doing mental gymnastics. So just pay attention.
In our cars, you have a very high probability of making a really bad decision and being arrested today, okay?
I think I'm making exactly
I'm not.
the right decision.
Oh, then why are you giving her a warning?
I'm giving her a
And here this particular part, they're keeping track of who these agents are and what they've done and identifying them in such a way. It's crazy. Like, they legitimately think they're making a list of Gestapo agents. Meanwhile, the ICE agent is just telling you, please stop. This is not helpful. You're at risk for being arrested. Have a good day. Be careful, the ice is slippery there.
Warning to not interfere with what we're doing, to not make a bad decision today and ruin your life.
Whoa, bad
Okay,
decisions.
thank you.
That's funny coming from you.
Okay, alrighty. Thank you. Have a good day.
I hope you have a terrible day.
Okay, thank you. Hold on. Watch out, it's slippery. Watch out. Yeah, there's a lot of ice around here. Just so you know, if we continue to have you follow us, okay, have fun. Don't make a bad decision today.
It's not illegal to follow you. Don't make a bad decision today is not a threat. It's advice. And they respond with, it's not illegal to follow you, as they lay into their horns, as they blow whistles, as they... that's really... Isn't that disturbing the peace? Disrupting the peace, whatever the legal term is. It's just... If you're enough of a petulant child, you can defend any action you take, right? And that's what these people are. What exactly do they think they're doing? What do they expect to get done? The only thing they're going to do is make everything worse. The more you impede ICE, the more momentum ICE will need to get done what they're doing, which means they're just going to have to double down on everything. Well, honestly, it happened so fast, I didn't even see who pushed it. But it's moving. It's gaining speed, it's growing larger, and it's coming right at us. It's never been normal to go actively impede your government. It happens, of course, but even when it does, it's typically for the sake of trying to draw attention to something that's important and create positive change. Farmers, I mentioned because there's some protests in Europe right now, farmers protest the government because of all the hoops and legalities that farmers need to go through in order to survive. There's a lot that goes into being a farmer, but the government is totally out of touch with them, and it's giving farmers a lot of strife, and farmers need help, so they're protesting. I mean, there's a reason why farming has a 3 to 3.5 times higher auto-delete ratio than the general population does, and farmers aren't even the most likely to do it. An anti-government sentiment is something that's built up over time, layer upon layer, and it climaxes in violence usually out of a necessity by the peasants being unable to continue, as the left likes to sympathy bait simply living. The difference being that the farmers really are trying to simply live, and the left is trying to enforce gender-neutral bathrooms under the guise of simply living. I know if I said that to a leftist, they would tell me that what they are doing is drawing attention to something important and is trying to create positive change. But that is not what's happening with the extreme left of America. It's not what's happening with ICE. And as much as I wish we could blame this on bots, there are plenty of real people acting like this. This is artificial normalization, and the proof of that is that it was basically an overnight phenomenon. It didn't exist, and then it suddenly did. This is weaponized caring, not activism. These Democrats role-playing as journalists with a superhero secret identity instantly became so normalized that people didn't even think about it. It was just par of the course, human adaptability and all that. Then the inevitable happened. See, this is the mental gymnastics of people. This is a video from r/law, which is desperately in need of some moderation, as everyone is a lawyer these days. All you have to do is get angry, and that proves that you're right about everything. Now, there's no audio for this because it's in slow motion, but don't worry, there's audio on the other tab. They're using this video to prove that they tried to turn away from the officer, and this means that they weren't trying to run them over. Now, I've never said they were trying to run them over. I explicitly said otherwise. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the officer wasn't in front of you, at close range, with you in a vehicle while you're resisting arrest. Okay? Now, 40,000 upvotes on that, 3,000 comments. You can bet your ass that pretty much every single one of them says the same thing, which is that government bad. Now, here we have a video from Fox on YouTube. It's just the body cam footage for anyone who's biased against Fox. This is Renee Good, and what they say is not really meaningful, but you can hear their spouse antagonize ICE, irritate them, mock them, intentionally trying to make them angry. Then you hear ICE tell them to get out of the vehicle, and then you hear the spouse, when they're not even in the vehicle, shout, "Drive, baby, drive." And then they drive forwards, and the ICE agent who's recording goes, oh, and you hear a couple shots.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I said go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Right. Now, I maintain, still do, that they weren't actually hit by the car, and that she wasn't trying to run him over. I don't think that's what happened. I do think they were trying to flee arrest. Oh, certainly I believe that. They say right here, this one here who's trying to piss them off, they say, drive, baby, drive. But here's the thing. The officer is moving in front of the car beforehand, right?
Car.
This guy comes over to arrest them, the other one reaching through the window. The officer moves over to the right a little bit. The car backs up to the left as they're going to drive away from the person who's coming at them to arrest them. They're not even in the car. Why would you expect her to drive forward? Like, you're the guy recording right now? The guy recording, this is the one who shot her. Why would he have expected her to accelerate forward when her spouse isn't even in the car, or whoever she is, just be a friend or whatever? They're not in the car with them. Why would he expect her to accelerate? Why would he expect her to try and drive forward? So they're saying, oh, he's intentionally putting himself in front of the car, right? He wants her to roadkill him. That's what they're saying, right? Oh, yeah, I want to be run over by the car. That's what I want. No, there's no reason for you to expect her to do that. Absolutely none. He was recording the scenario. You can see him holding the iPhone in the other video. They're antagonizing. They're resisting arrest. And like I said before, it's just a tragedy. Maybe he got bumped by the car. He looks like he dodged out of it in the other video. It really doesn't look like she was trying to run him over. It doesn't look like he was trying to block her. Both the left and the right are drawing some weird narratives to this. Usually this is something that's difficult to measure. However, I think we can, with a considerable amount of precision, measure what's happening with the cultural normalization of anti-government sentiment in the political sphere of the USA. To that end, I think it's fair, if not literal, to state that Renee Good wasn't killed by a bullet. She wasn't killed by a gun. She wasn't killed by ICE. She was killed by people convincing her that she was living in a Nazi regime ruled over by an evil dictator. She was killed by people conditioning her to believe that country was being taken over by monsters who wanted to brutalize her and her own. She was brainwashed to believe that she was a weak, cowardly Nazi sympathizer if she didn't go out and actively fight the government. Even churches push this message. Churches. Even churches tell you that you are evil unless you're a Democrat. Churches tell you that you are complicit if you do not fight back. Not to mention all the ill-intended lies and AI, which do the same and worse. She was taught lies, sold sympathy, and trained to fight. Now she's dead. No sooner did it happen that the very people who convinced her to harass ICE propped her still warm body up as a symbol of their own righteousness, which humans are prone to do in their disgusting need for a bloody symbol instead of just using word-based logic. They'll identify a victim, even in cases where there isn't one. They'll claim that victim represents the Democratic Party, and then they'll puppeteer them to perform a tragic play showing the Democrats as the oppressed. But previously there weren't any martyrs. Even when people died, the previous ones were isolated incidents, mass shootings by nutjobs who tend to self-dispose afterwards, coincidences, circumstances, and generally unrelated to ICE in any direct way. Now, it's very real, and it's something that rational people on both sides have expected for a long time. But it's not the rational people who are the problem. They're the ones writing speeches, casting YouTube videos into an empty void, and lobbying change through government officials. ICE is doing a dirty and dangerous job to find many, many millions of illegal immigrants and remove them from the country. They aren't war dogs looking for a fight. Even the protesters don't want to be martyred, but they still put themselves on that path because they've been conditioned to do so. And ICE will continue to put themselves on the path because that's what they need to do. It's what needs to be done. You can't just say that everyone's welcome and there's no problem. See, people say critical thinking so much that it's lost all meaning, but there are definitely people who should stay as far away from political drama as is possible. And trust me, I know that's difficult. The entire reason I made this channel was because politics infected every aspect of my life. I'm basically a political zombie. Still, if you're one of the easily persuaded types who prefers feelings over evidence, now's a good time to stop pushing wokeness and wake up. This is a reality check. Democrats on left leaning social media accuse others and say they aren't paying attention to the real world, and yet leftists are doing this like ICE is out there playing a game. Well, it would seem that they're not playing a game. It would seem to me that Renee Good had been convinced by Democrats to believe that she needed to be out there doing this. Not by a person, not by a couple, but by a hive mind, many of which are likely foreign bots, by websites like Reddit and Blue Sky, which allow endless hate speech and treasonous speech to flow like water, by politicians who tell everyone how to remain peaceful and that they should remain peaceful. Yet through the other side of their mouth, they insist that illegal immigrants and fraud don't exist, or if they do, that they're under control and that they don't need any kind of interference by the federal government. This is a wake-up call. You see all these protesters out there, many of which are wearing masks just like ICE, some wearing gas masks even, but some protesters with their face exposed. You see people on the internet demanding action, demanding violence, all without anonymity. This weird mentality seems to be forming in the minds of some Democrats, the ones I suspect lack critical thinking. The belief that they can do whatever they want if they're angry enough. The belief that Republicans did it first, so they're allowed to. The belief that everyone is saying and doing it, and therefore it must be okay to say and do it. That it must be a good thing to do it. And when they attempted to arrest Renee, she seemingly made the decision to just sort of leave? I have no idea what they were thinking. No one on this world ever will, but it's almost as if they were treating ICE agents like NPCs in a video game. Like they could just drive away, drop aggro, and that's that. Problem solved. Like their face wouldn't be remembered. Like their vehicles and license plates wouldn't be monitored. Like none of the things they say on the internet would be tracked. That's just my presumption, because how the hell do you have a federal agent reaching into your vehicle, trying to open the door, trying to arrest you, knowing full well that people are recording everything, and you make the decision to simply leave? I see no other explanation for what they did. It seems as though they thought that they could just drive away, and that would be fine. The act of which launched an unfortunate chain of events, unfolding in their death. To that end, you could say they were responsible for their own end, but it is still reasonable for us to blame the echo chambers incentivizing this behavior. They were an adult, yes, but if there are adults who are so easily radicalized by social media, we can only imagine how many children there are, have been, for that matter, for decades even. It's important to condemn the exacerbated political state of social media. I can't condemn it enough, in fact. Not to censor people's free speech and their opinions, but to demand context be applied and to repudiate deniers of proven truths. I don't care if it's flat earthers or the people stating that this powder gun shooting in Minneapolis was a headshot when it was clearly in their chest, and also it's powder. There are liars, and they should be treated as liars. Intentionally disseminating misinformation is an attempt to make the world a worse place, and as I am part of this world, I consider this a grievous offense. I rebuke the people sympathy baiting, using feelings to distract from real problems, spreading crocodile tears as a smokescreen to protect real criminals and to drag down and incriminate the innocent. The ones who are already making a list and checking it twice to find out who it is they're going to crucify in 2028 when they become president. And yes, this is how many leftists think and act. They have these power-mad fantasies about AOC or Newsom fulfilling their revenge plots against ICE and, well, pretty much everyone else. Those attempting to go after the officer who shot Renee are doing so either out of malice or idiocy, and in either case they're wrong to do so because it was them, not the officer, but the ones who tricked Renee into protesting, who were effectively holding the gun. They are the ones telling ghost stories. They're the ones talking about kings and dictators. They're the ones saying that all the CEOs and all the rich people in general do not deserve life, and that it is morally acceptable to take it from them at gunpoint. They're the ones saying ICE or the secret police, the Gestapo, the thugs, cowards, fascists, and so forth. They're the ones goading people into stalking, mocking, and harassing the federal government. They knew this was going to happen. Everyone did. Maybe not to Renee, but to someone. I think, however, this is a chance for things to change. There is a silver lining to this tragedy. It was recorded, and we can see plain as day that while they were accelerating towards an officer, they were likely not trying to run him over. And while the officer shot and killed Renee, they didn't do so due to some crazy racist power trip, as people often accuse ICE. Neither of the extremist narratives are correct, and we can see the very real cost of normalizing an anti-government sentiment. For what? To stop illegals from being detained and deported? No innocents were saved. No one was spared an inhumane gas chamber. Nothing heroic happened here, and due to the circumstances, I would even say that no martyr was made. It's just death. Death and nightmare fuel for everyone involved, including the officer. Predictably, sadly, both sides spun the story before her body was cold. Then even death isn't enough for people to wake up. There's no way to emphasize it enough. People are getting mad because they're told to get mad. Some people are so stupid that this is all it takes. They're leaving their houses and stalking federal agents, some of which in vehicles, which can be used as deadly weapons and will from now on be looked at more so in that way. And they're either impeding the agents directly or they're providing fuel for the fire with their 3-second long TikTok videos, which, even if nothing at all happens in, still results in lies and agenda pushing, as can be seen in the Minneapolis gas gun headshot video, a mere 2 to 3 second long clip with millions of people spreading the lie that it's excessive force and a headshot. First of all, they're shot in the chest. Secondly, it's gas and cannot technically headshot. And thirdly, gas does nothing if you're shot in the damn foot, now does it? That's the pivotal shift in this new era. Cameras and streaming. There's always been illegal immigrants, and there's always been agents looking to root out the illegals, but only now do they have to contend with morons who can't trust their own lying eyes. Only now do we see it as a fascist movement spurred on by racism. Only now do we have prophets portending doom, and thanks to the division hyperpolitics has created in our country, you need to pick a team and need to win, no matter what. Sure, okay, you Democrats think you're heroes for stalking, recording, and sometimes impeding the government, and there's clearly no way to reframe that mentality, as you're even refuting video evidence that categorically proves you are wrong. But why do you think it's okay to goad others into doing it? You want to use sympathy as a weapon? Fine. Look at Renee Good's family and tell me it isn't your fault. Say that it's not your fault for stating that the government is evil, that you claiming anyone who isn't fighting back is just as evil had nothing to do with her being out there. Why do you think you could even do that? Is it because of all that there freedom you got? You can sit there saying America bad as much as you want, but at the end of the day, you wouldn't be allowed to do this in most other countries, and you know that. So how can you sit there screaming into a camera about how the government is oppressive and should be destroyed? How can you refute the very videos disproving your claims? When do you realize that your normal has been artificially altered to make you believe you're an oppressed victim, such as women claiming that they are sex slaves unless any and all women are allowed to have a no questions asked abortion in any state, demanding federal laws be passed to suit themselves? Even if they did get their wish, they would extend their demands to other countries. They'd demand the USA set up a fetal chop shop that allows foreigners to fly over and get abortions. For free, no less. May as well pay for the hotel and plane ticket, too. That's morality, right? No, that's toxic progressiveness, and it's a bottomless pit. Gay and trans people have existed here for quite a long time, and things just kept getting better for them. But suddenly, we needed to have trans athletes, gender-neutral bathrooms, and preteens being taught the gay BC, so now gays, trans, and whatever other gender are in the crosshair, and school children are convinced that they are genderless omnisexuals. When are you going to realize that you aren't oppressed in the USA, and that if you allow a politician, regardless of side, color, spirit animal, or any other identifier, if you allow a politician to convince you of something, you are truly nothing more than a puppet, an anthropomorphized vote without even the wherewithal to decide who you vote for. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.